In this tutorial, we're going to cover how to set up your presentation using PowerPoint. This tutorial will cover how you set up your page size so that you can present your presentations in the Digital Crypt Room, room 115. Once again, if we refer to the sizes that we need to use, we'll now simply go and set up our slides to reflect this information. So the first thing we're going to do is, before we continue with our setting up our slideshows and our presentation, we'll need to go to Design and go to Slide Size. Custom Slide Size. You've got two options. You can simply type in the centimeters. What I prefer to do is actually use the correct pixels. Okay, so if we go back to this presentation, it's 3840. So 3840 px, it will do the conversion for you, and you'll notice that it will start putting in the correct information. And then 2160. Okay, now it's correct. If we go and check the size, you'll notice that this will correspond with the guidelines given. Okay. Right, so once you've got that done, the next step that you need to do is, either in Photoshop or GIMP, you'll need to export those images to the correct scale. Okay, so you can also use PDF. You can also drag and drop PDFs in here as well. Okay, so let's just go and open up GIMP, for example, and see how we'll go and export the image from GIMP. Pretty straightforward. All you need to do is, because we set up our size correctly, we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Export As, and we can simply make this a JPEG or PNG file. That's totally up to you. I'm just going to put this as GIMP image. I'm going to call this one PNG. I'm going to say export. Okay. You can go and make a whole series of these images. Okay, in PowerPoint, all that I'm going to do now is going to go and say insert. You can insert a whole lot of images if you wanted to. This will automatically set up and fit them to the slide appropriately. So you can use this option as well. But in this instance, just for this example, we're going to go and say from this device, and I'm going to go and simply insert this image from our device. Okay, you can also drag and drop the image in as well. Okay, so here's my image, PNG, and an insert. Okay, and you'll notice I didn't have to do any additional scaling. It fits perfectly in my slide. Okay, now in addition, let me undo this, my apologies. One thing that you must always do is you must go to File, and you must go and say Account, Options, my apologies, Advanced, and this is very important using PowerPoint. You must say do not compress image. So please tick this box, do not compress images in file, and you want to make this a high fidelity file. Yeah, it's telling you what presentation, make sure that is on. Okay, let me just redo that, insert, otherwise it will scale down the images. Okay, this device, okay, and let's pull this in, and you'll notice it'll fit perfectly, okay, because we've exported the image to the correct scale. Now, I'm going to show you if we had to use Photoshop, for example. So let's open this in Photoshop. We're going to do the same exercise. Okay. Here I've got my image, File, Export. You're going to go and say Save As JPEG. I'm just going to make this a JPEG. Just show you the different options because it'll get rid of the background. I'm going to say Photoshop, Image. Okay, save. And I'm going to just make this maximum quality. Okay, press OK. Now if I go to PowerPoint and I start a new slide, okay, so you can simply duplicate slide, and you can just simply delete the image, and you can go and say insert picture from this device. Now we can go and get the Photoshop image and insert that. And once again, you'll notice that they have come in perfectly. Okay. Okay, no difference. We zoom in, you'll still see that's it's quite a good quality image. And on the screen, just remember, you're not going to be zooming on the screen. That's how you're going to read this. It'll read just like this on the screen downstairs. Now, I'm going to make one more slide. And now, if you set up your PDF files like technical drawings, you can also bring those in. So I've got an A0 PDF that I'm going to show you. So what you can do is, let's close PowerPoint and PDF. Okay. So once this is set up correctly, okay, you'll then need to go and open the folder where you've got PDFs. So now you've got and made a whole series of PDFs. I'm just going to show you this PDF, for example. So you can see this is quite a dense PDF. Look, this will pixelate. Just remember, because typically PDFs are vector graphics, but PowerPoint will do a really good job in trying to preserve this. So if you drag and drop this in, once again, it's going to try and scale it to the size. Once again, it's going to try and scale it to the correct size. So drag and drop this in. Okay, let's try that again. So I'll just have to use another screen. There we go. All right, so now you can see that it's trying to scale this. It will, and I'll just need to fix this to suit the size. But just remember, this is an A0 size sheet that I've pulled in. Okay, so I can pull this to the side and then drag this down to the bottom. And you'll notice that it'll try and keep the resolution. Okay. Let's go to image size. Okay. But ideally, you want to open up that PDF and export it as an image as well. Okay. So if you zoom in, you'll notice that it'll keep the resolution quite neat. Okay. This will read on the display, but just remember, this is a very technical document. So ideally, you would want to use this workflow using, but you can see it will keep the image in. Okay, fantastic. So then you can just simply save this file. Okay, you can then go and say export as PDF again if you wanted to, but now you can simply go, once you're downstairs, you can then go to, you can go and set up your transition. So just remember, if you want this to loop, so you're going to go to slideshow, slideshow settings, okay, set up slideshow, just make sure that this loops, okay. Everything else you can leave just like this, press OK. All right, so once that's set up, the next thing you need to go to do is go to your transitions. And here you can uncheck that, that's up to you. You can say advanced slide or after, that's totally up to you. I'll leave both active because then you can stop the presentation, for example. And here for timing, I'm going to set this to be 5 seconds per slide, but that's up to you. 5 seconds works well in my opinion. 5 to 10 seconds gives somebody enough time to read the slide. Once I've done that, make sure you apply it to all slides. Now, if I go to slideshow, start from the beginning, and now this is what you'll see downstairs. And every 5 seconds, it will keep jumping to the next slide, to the next slide, to the next slide. Okay. All right, these technical documents, just be aware they do read. You'll want to use an Adobe, and there's another workflow that we can use to achieve this. Okay. All right, so that's how you would set up your PowerPoint presentation.